Business Council and share with you the 2015 Roseville State of the City address. This year's address will once again focus on events and accomplishments of the past year, as well as plans for the coming years. I must, as usual, begin by noting and acknowledging that more about the state of our city in Roseville has to do with the everyday efforts of local residents, volunteers, business people, and others than it does with what the city government does. But that being said, we as the city government have the responsibility that is given to us by the people of Roseville and by the state of Minnesota to do our part through the roles we undertake to work toward the achievement of our community's aspirations. Ever since the City Council adopted our mission statement in support of stated community aspirations 3 years ago, I've been using those aspirations to organize and frame my remarks about the state of the city each year. I really believe that this is a useful way to think about what we do and why we do it. And so to remind everyone of those aspirations, we in Roseville as a community aspire to be welcoming, inclusive, and respectful. We aspire to be safe and law-abiding. We aspire to be economically prosperous with a stable and broad tax base. We aspire to be secure in our diverse and quality housing and neighborhoods. We aspire to be environmentally responsible with well-maintained natural assets. We aspire to be physically and mentally active and healthy. And we aspire to be well-connected through transportation and technology infrastructure. And finally, we aspire to be engaged in our community's success as citizens, neighbors, volunteers, leaders, and business people. And that's a lot to aspire to. As to our first aspiration of being welcoming, inclusive, and respectful, for the past several years and continuing this year, a key effort in our work for welcoming folks is our police department's projects to connect with immigrant communities and others in Roseville. That includes many informal contacts as well as more formalized activities such as community relations coordinator Corey Yunke's recent soccer camp and the annual Shop with a Cop event that happens each year. Additionally, within the last year, the Roseville Police Department provided diversity training for city employees and other law enforcement agencies, and that was very well received. As in previous years, the city held another New American Forum in 2014 in partnership with the Karen Organization of Minnesota and the Roseville Human Rights Commission. And the city also partnered with the school district and other agencies to provide assistance to Karen immigrants and others in southeast Roseville who had apartment-related issues this year. One highlight of the last year for me was Roseville's hosting of a naturalization ceremony at the Oval in April. It was organized by the Human Rights Commission, and it was quite a moving and memorable event to see the excitement on the face of all the new citizens from around the world who were sworn in that day. And besides city efforts, we also know of interest by the Lake McCarran Neighborhood Association in developing connections with their Karen and other immigrant neighbors. And that helps to make the point that I always want to make, that it is important for all of us to remember that making our community welcoming, inclusive, and respectful must be a part of everything we all do every day. Another aspiration we have is to be safe and law-abiding. And the statistics, if you look at just statistics, are a little bit mixed with respect to public safety this past year. Violent crimes in Roseville were down, but property crimes such as fraud, theft, and burglary have gone up. In 2014, it was the busiest year for our Roseville Fire and EMS folks. They had the most calls for service that they've ever had. But looking beyond the statistics, we can note that the police department continues to refine its training and techniques, as well as educational efforts in order to be more effective. These include a new crime scene investigative team, which has proven to be effective in closing more cases. The fire department as well is continuing to enhance its capabilities. In 2014, with the help of a donation from a local tank farm operators, they put into service a new foam trailer that is more maneuverable than a large fire engine for fighting petroleum fires in the tank farms. In addition, 5 of our firefighters participated in crude oil rail car fire training in Pueblo, Colorado, partly in response to the increasing oil train traffic that we have in and near our community. A new state-of-the-art Minnesota-built first response fire engine is on order and will be delivered this year to replace an aging engine in our fire department that has served its useful life. Another key change in the Roseville Fire Department that begins this year is the transition to full-time firefighters from a paid-on-call part-time staffing model. The reality of fire department staffing lately in many cities, including Roseville, has been the challenge to recruit, train, and keep new part-time paid-on-call firefighters with the costs of equipment and training continuing to rise. And so the city is committed to make this transition to full-time firefighters in a manner that works well for both the city and for the existing firefighters. Roseville aspires to be economically prosperous. In 2014, Roseville's tax base grew about 5%, which has finally reversed the trend of the previous few years where we had contraction in our tax base. Much of that increase was attributable to a significant recovery of single-family home values. It was actually an 11% increase on the average home in 2014, but also due to reinvestment in our commercial properties in the city. The steep rise in single-family home values was recognized by the City Council when we adopted our 2015 levy at the smallest increase in 10 years, which was 1.5%. And a small portion of the city's healthy reserves was used to cover part of the rest of the 2.3% increase in our budget for 2015. In 2014, the trend of investment and reinvestment in our local economy continued from previous years, as over $23 million in new commercial construction took place, and 12 new single-family homes were built, valued at nearly $4.5 million, among other projects. The Twin Lakes area continues to see increased interest in development activity, with 2 new hotels and a small grocery store in various stages of planning and city approval. Other potential projects of the office-type development in Twin Lakes have been a little more elusive, but we're continuing to pursue those, and hopefully we can have some success this year with those. Through the leadership of the Roseville Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and with the partnership, as was mentioned, of the Twin Cities North and St. Paul Area Chambers of Commerce, we've continued to build our business retention and expansion program in Roseville. The city is a lead sponsor of the Chamber's Small Business Series of educational and networking events, and the city hosted our first Roseville Business Exchange in December. In addition, the Roseville Business Council, where we are this morning, has grown over the last year with active participation from the city. In Roseville, we do also aspire to be secure in our diverse housing and neighborhoods. We continue to seek to enhance the diversity of housing in Roseville and make sure that the housing in our community is safe and secure for all residents. 2 projects were under consideration in 2014 and continue to be pursued this year that will add to our housing diversity. One is replacement of the Dale Street Fire Station and some surrounding vacant properties with medium-density housing. In fact, we just talked about that this past Monday. The other is the first new market-rate apartments proposed in Roseville in over 20 years, which are planned in the Twin Lakes area. As to housing security, 2014 marked the beginning of our new multifamily rental registration and inspection program. Over 1,000 apartment units in 159 buildings were inspected last year. The good news is that most of our existing multifamily housing is in good shape, despite its age, and most of the properties are in the higher grade classifications, which result in lower registration fees and less frequent inspections. The program did highlight some problem properties, and the city will work with those owners and managers to improve those. And we will continue in 2015 our well-received proactive and educational neighborhood enhancement program, which took a hiatus last year so that we could focus on the rental inspections, but we'll be getting back underway this year. And that's a great effort to keep our neighborhoods up. In Roseville, we aspire to be environmentally responsible with well-maintained natural assets. In 2014, we began our single-sort recycling program through a new contract with Eureka Recycling. Now residents have larger wheeled and covered carts, and the pickup is bi-weekly. Residents no longer have to sort their recycling, and more types of materials are being collected, including some previously uncollected grades of plastics. A key effort of the ongoing Roseville Park Renewal Program has been the restoration of natural resources in several of our parks. This has included a major effort to remove non-native species, such as buckthorn, and replace them with native plantings that provide better habitat for native wildlife. The city took steps in 2014 to support community solar projects as well, and earlier this year we approved an arrangement with the St. Paul Port Authority to assist with funding of community solar projects. Roseville continues to strive for our events to be zero-waste type events, and we're looking forward to working with volunteers to increase the number of events and include some private events that are held at city facilities as well as city events. And all of our efforts to be environmentally conscious and conserve resources in our city operations have earned the city the designation as a Minnesota Green Step City in 2014. And we hope to continue to meet additional goals of that program as we go forward. In Roseville, we aspire to be physically and mentally healthy and active. 2 new community-generated initiatives got underway in 2014 related to the health of our residents. The first is the Alzheimer's and Dementia Community Action Team, which is a partnership of residents, care providers, city staff, and Roseville School District staff that works to provide resources, information, policy focus on dementia and Alzheimer's issues. The second is a working group that is underway to investigate the possibility of reinstatement of a block nurse program in Roseville. Both of these efforts are largely independent of city involvement and are impressive reminders of the capabilities of our community members to identify and work to resolve community issues. Of course, significant updates to our park and recreation facilities continued in 2014 as well and continue in 2015 as part of the park renewal program. A couple of highlights related to mental and physical health that I just wanted to point out is the improvements to the Harriet Alexander Nature Center, which includes a new lifelike interpretive tree exhibit that was just unveiled recently, or will be shortly, as well as playground, play court, and athletic field improvements in our various parks. A not often thought about part of providing for the health and safety of our residents and visitors is the city's responsibility for the provision of safe drinking water. In early 2014, Roseville, like many other communities, experienced historically deep frost, and especially under roadways where water lines run. This led to a significant number of residents who had shallower water lines experiencing frozen water supplies. And you can imagine how disruptive that would be to your life. Well, many lines were not able to be thawed without significant expense to residents and inconvenience, certainly to residents. I do want to say a special word of thanks and appreciation to the folks in our Public Works Department who worked very hard and devoted significant time and effort in those first couple months of 2014 to try whatever the city could do to help those residents, in addition to providing educational information to hopefully help other residents prevent the same kind of freeze-ups. We're very grateful to have those men and women working for us every day, and especially in times of unusual need. In Roseville, we also aspire to be well connected. Pathways continue to be a highly desired means of connection in our community, and our resident surveys have continued to show that. In 2014, through Park Renewal Program funding, Roseville completed some key links in our pathway system. And most notably, this includes a pathway along County Road B2 from Lexington Avenue to Rice Street. This is a key pedestrian route that had not been served by a pathway until then. In addition, Central Park is being connected along Victoria Street to B2, and actually this year we'll continue that extension all the way down to Larpenteur Avenue with the reconstruction of Victoria Street that comes up this year. A smaller and no less significant project to the neighborhood was the construction of a temporary off-street pedestrian facility on the south side of County Road B west of Cleveland Avenue, and that has been very well received by residents who were long looking for a pedestrian facility in that area. And Roseville will continue to seek opportunities to make further connections in our pathway system going forward. Another kind of connection that was implemented in 2014 and continues in 2015 is that the 6 new park buildings that are part of the Park Renewal Program have been outfitted and are being outfitted with internet access, both for city needs in terms of door locking remotely and security cameras, but also for the public's use. Part of the provision of that internet service is through the continuation of extending the city's fiber network in partnership with the Roseville School District. In 2015, some of the last key links in that network will be completed, making more facilities connected in ways that can be taken fully advantage of by students and staff alike. And finally, related to connections, it's important to mention that the Met Council's new A-Line bus rapid transit service will begin, or hopefully begin, in Roseville later this year, all the way up Snelling Avenue to Rosedale, which will enhance the connection of our community to the larger transit system in the area. In Roseville, we're also engaged, or we aspire to be, and hopefully are, engaged in our community's success. A key step undertaken in 2014 to enhance the engagement of our community in its success was the hiring of our volunteer coordinator, Kelly O'Brien. Already, since that action, the city has seen benefits through increased participation in community playground builds, volunteer buckthorn hauling projects, and a number of other efforts to enhance volunteer contributions to our community. In addition, our new Community Engagement Commission has identified 5 key projects that they will focus on to enhance community engagement in Roseville in 2015. One notable project on that list is very near to, hopefully, in implementation, which is the addition of what's known as a civic engagement module to the city website. And what that will do is it'll allow for, hopefully, better two-way communication between residents and businesses and their city government. Just last week, the City Council and department heads completed a 2-day retreat to help plan for priorities for the coming 2 years. Just a brief list of some of those priorities includes developing strategies for assisting multiple issues facing the southeast area of Roseville, including significant and vulnerable immigrant populations, declining multifamily buildings, increasing crime, and addressing potential for decline of other property values. Another priority that we came up with at that discussion was focusing on living wage level job development in the Twin Lakes area through development strategies and proactive city efforts. Another priority was increasing the availability of move-up home ownership in Roseville, homes at higher value that folks can aspire to move into after maybe starting in a smaller home in Roseville. Another priority is enhancing our community engagement and volunteer efforts, which I mentioned earlier. And another priority is increasing participation in city issues by underrepresented groups in the community. And then another highlighted priority was completing infrastructure funding plans for areas that have not previously been addressed by those funding plans that we've developed over the last several years. These priorities, as well as prospective strategies to achieve them, will be the subject of council discussion and community input in the coming weeks and months, and then implementation, measurement, and adjustment of those priorities and strategies will be the primary focus of the next 2 years. So we in Roseville can be proud of the work we are doing to achieve our community aspirations. We have made much progress in the last year, and we have learned some things along the way that will make us better in the future. Still, we have work to do. But I believe I speak for the entire City Council and City Government in Roseville when I say that we are optimistic that we can continue the progress that we've made so far, and that we are also enthusiastic about the work yet to be done, so that together, as partners in our community, we can continue to grow in our abilities to live up to our aspirations. Thank you very much, and I'll stand for any questions.